Yeah, this one was interesting. So, as you guys know, if you watch our show, despite the fact that we're big fans of Krystal Ball, sometimes she gets some heat from her own comment section. It's sometimes unfortunate to see because, as Zach and I always point out, yeah, she's always doing such a good job. Super articulate, super intelligent, one of the best debaters, one of the best communicators of left-wing ideas, at least on YouTube, in my humble opinion. But like I said, she doesn't always get the love that she deserves from her own comment section due to the nature of YouTube and the fact that more right-wingers tend to consume content on the platform. It does seem like the Breaking Point's audience is slightly there more for Saagar than for Krystal. And, you know, it would be the same way if one of us was conservative, right? If I was the conservative loudmouth, then, you know, probably our comments would skew towards my opinion. Same thing if Zach decided to have bad opinions, they'd probably agree with him more too. That's just how it works on YouTube. That's why all the biggest political YouTubers are right-wingers, not lefties, unfortunately. Just the way it is.
Gavin better because he's more handsome. I have the better arguments.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised to see an exception this time around. Krystal and Saagar got in a heated debate. I didn't even check the comments because I assumed they would mostly be pro Saagar. But a lot of people started letting us know on yesterday's Q&A stream in the live chat that actually the comment section had kind of turned on Saagar Enjeti. It doesn't happen very often, but it did in this case due to some of the frankly ridiculous comments he was making about these student protesters and how their whole struggle was basically meaningless. A lot of other things you're going to hear in a second. So got a lot to say about this one, as did the comment section. So I think that this is going to be pretty amusing. Have you seen this one yet, Zach?
I actually haven't checked this out. No, I know that you said that you checked it out, so I figured it would be a good Vanguard clip.
Oh yeah, you're going to enjoy this one for sure.
What are you going to do? And especially if they start vandalizing, which they already did, you know, to get in there.
Well, you could just, you know, do what students want you to do, which is to divest.
No,
I mean, that's the other thing is that I know,
but that's not going to happen.
But why not?
Need to understand that.
But why not? Because there was a vote at Columbia Bar.
And also, yeah, I think Krystal makes a great point. Why not? Why can't they just actually do what the students want? Some people have pointed out actually that Brown University held a vote. Actually, they agreed rather to hold a Israel divestment vote after pressure from student protesters, and that's the way that they actually were able to successfully clear the encampments and occupations from their campus by basically, in a sense, giving the students what they wanted, agreeing to hold this vote on Israel divestment. I think most of the students assume that the vote will go their way because of the fact that a lot of the professors actually side with the students and agree with their perspectives. But I just wanted to point that out. It's actually not outrageous or unprecedented or completely wild to think that Columbia could have just done what the students were asking them to do, what they were protesting against, and at least hold a vote, if not just straight up divest from Israel.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Hey guys, you could just do the right thing. Wow, shocking. You could just look at an objectively fucking blatant scenario. Oh, should we continue to profit off of the intense suffering, pillaging, and destruction of another people that didn't do fucking anything wrong? No, we shouldn't do that. Okay, great, guys. Let's pack up and go home. Yeah, we don't have to send in a bunch of pigs to fucking beat the heads in on our, students. I think Matt Leck tweeted about that last night. We probably retweeted it. But yeah, it was like, hey, guys, like, you don't have to just send in thugs to terrorize your students that are actually being the rational ones in the room,
Barnard, and it was overwhelming in favor of divestment.
Yeah, but the students don't control the endowment.
Yeah, but like if you have faculty and students who are overwhelmingly like, just do this thing, then why not just do that thing? And then you won't have your hall occupied and you won't have to send in the cops, etc. But, I think bottom line is, like I said, these students have already been kicked out of school in
Can we pause it for a second?
They're not afraid.
30 seconds in, Saagar's already got to hang up his populist credentials. He's like, all these people support this, and their students support this, and the teachers support that. Oh yeah, but the few and the powerful, they don't support that. So who the fuck cares what these peons think? And then he'll call himself a right-wing populist. Guys, right-wing populists are just rich people in disguise.
Yeah, we don't really know. But I also would say this: don't throw your future away for this. I know some of these protesters. Please don't do this. Your parents spent a lot of money on.
I disagree with that.
You want to get your ass expelled for like this? What are you going to do 20 years from now?
These are people who have agency and who feel like they're standing against a genocide. And I can't.
Can you pause
proud of
again?
them. I think it's incredible to watch.
I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. This man is putting his cards on the table. This guy says, I'm out for number one only. This guy's like, that would hurt your career. That would jeopardize you. You would have to face some consequences for that. How could you do that for somebody you don't even know? These kids, they're having to have surgery with no anesthesia. They're starving to death. They don't know where their mom and dad are. They're never going to find them again. They're going to live a life of hard fucking suffering. They're going to deal with PTSD that's unimaginable to any of us. They're going to have a very low quality of life, certainly compared to anybody else. But just wait, bro, your 401k. How are you going to fully contribute to your Roth IRA when you're 42 now? Oh, gosh, I hope you don't want to live on the Upper West Side. Oh, boy, everybody's going to laugh at you when you're driving a Toyota Corolla instead of an Audi. Let me tell you what, your parents didn't spend all that money for nothing. I hope you don't like to golf. You're more of a public basketball kind of guy now. I hope you like shooting hoops with the fucking pores. You know what I mean? This is unimaginable. The lack of humanity, the lack of empathy that is coming from this guy that I imagine is I happen to know the people that work with this guy really like him. And so I'm just like, Saagar, what the hell? Do you turn on your reptile brain before you give commentary? What the fuck is going on? I know you have a heart and soul in there. Please start using it to inform your politics.
Yeah, I really don't understand what in Saagar's opinion would rise to the occasion of warranting such a protest. Does it have to be domestic? Our neighbors domestically getting slaughtered? Do people in Connecticut have to be getting starved and bombed for people to start, taking drastic steps to make a change and to push back against our country's policy? I just don't understand what is it, because people are literally being slaughtered in the tens of thousands and starved in the hundreds of thousands, if not greater. I just don't understand. Those are our fellow human beings. If that does not meet the metric of outrage of, hey, let's do something about this, what the fuck does? Because I think it's obvious that these students are heroes. They're the ones among us in society that are actually putting their futures on the lines, that are actually putting their lives on the line.
20 years from now, you'll be a footnote to history. You're going to be in some idiot on YouTube giving a monologue.
But who cares?
You
will know.
You're not going to have a degree.
You will know.
Threw away a bunch of money.
There are more things to achieve in life than getting your startup funded or getting hired by Wall Street.
Yeah,
they're
but that's
going to
not
know.
the only thing you do. You can be a teacher. This is about basic.
These are young people, but they're also adults, and they're also perfectly capable of making their own decisions about what's important to them in their lives and the way that they want to live. They're not buying into this crap. This part of actually what's in my monologue. They're not buying into this crap about the only success that matters is success in terms of a capitalist marketplace. They have values. Those values are important to them. They're willing to, I think it's incredibly admirable that they're willing to sacrifice in many instances for people they don't know and will never meet. That's extraordinary. And I think it's brave. I think they're to be commended.
That's what people like Saagar, frankly, and the people who want to cheerlead those cops and send them in to go beat the fuck out of them. What they're terrified of is their humanity. What they're terrified of is their collectiveness. What they're terrified of is their sense of community, right? That's what they're fucking afraid of, guys. They're afraid that they are willing to sacrifice for somebody that they don't know because they can see it with their own eyes, Saagar. They scroll through TikTok and they look at babies that are colors that babies shouldn't fucking be, bro. Okay, I've seen children that are covered with all fucking kinds of layers of dust, fucking dead and bleeding, fucked up, man. And I'm not even I do the show from the comfort of my own fucking office in my townhouse. You know what I'm saying? I am fucking spoiled as shit in comparison, right? But how the fuck you can't even sit here in Kansas City, Missouri? I can't and think about the future of your life. You're life charting, your life planning. How are you supposed to fucking think about that? I was talking to Salisa about that last night. We're laying up in bed. We're trying to fucking plan our future together and all that shit. It's this is horse shit. You don't want to think about that. You don't want to look at that because then you're I'm in here. I'm in my house. I'm taking care of myself. When these fucking kids are out there getting hauled off to jail, when they're out there getting their fucking asses kicked, when they're out there sacrificing their tuition, when they're out there sacrificing their right to live in this fucking country that's supposed to be free. And you want to go ahead and split hairs with them? You want to, you guys should have been smarter. You guys should have been thinking about your fucking bottom line. What the fuck?
not scolded for making the wrong life decisions.
I'm not going to scold anybody.
You are scolding them.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't do it, and I'm sitting here as a 32-year-old.
You're not doing it, and you didn't do it, and that's fine. But
I will promise you that 10 years ago, nobody remembers a fucking thing that I said, and there's a good reason for that.
But you do.
I hope that they don't.
But you do.
No, I certainly do.
And also,
but
I regret a lot of.
Let's talk about this fucking lousy response from Johnny Come Lately. This is the problem, right? This is the problem. So so do you not understand that this is the students' time? That it's not my place to get on an airplane and go to Columbia University and put my face up in front of all the shit, and cover it and be like, oh yeah, guys, like look at me here on ground zero of the struggle. No, that's not right. That's not right to do. What my job is to sit here and keep doing what I was fucking doing. And you're right. I have to live with the guilt of being not on the front lines. I'm not fucking in Gaza giving medical aid to people. I'm not fucking doing, I'm a regular guy. I worked 45 fucking hours last week on top of the Vanguard. Okay. Some asshole destroyed my car. I've been dealing with that. Right. Okay. I'm a regular person. So I have to feel all of the guilt. I have to feel all of the feelings, right, that come with being helpless, that come with fucking this up, that come with knowing when history looks back on us, I did not do enough. I did not sacrifice everything. I did not leave it all behind to go be a fucking in solidarity. I didn't fucking do that. So judge me if you want to, but I'm just like the rest of us. And so let's at least be honest and let's at least be in community about how the fuck we all feel, because we all got put in this shit mess. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Plus, you're not using, what small platform we do have to demonize these protesters and to spread bullshit talking points about them and the decisions they're making. I mean, not that it is much, but we do take our job seriously here. And even though there's only 400 people watching, we take that really fucking seriously. And we're never going to use our platform to spread bullshit talking points from CNN and the political establishment to put down what these kids are doing, to put down what protesters around the globe are doing. Of course not. So, I mean, yeah, we might not be out there on the front line, so to speak, but we're also not helping the goddamn, machine.
Anyway, I know a lot of people feel like that. And I also tweeted out like, oh, if you're over 40, you fucking failed your kid. That was in response to the fucking events that were happening in New York City, not poor people in Appalachia. Okay. It's kind of like when people tweet out like, God, fucking white people in this. And I'm like, I don't take it personally because I'm like, I don't do that. I'm not perpetrating that problem, but I do understand that there's like an umbrella of like white supremacy. So I don't take that shit personally when people are calling that out, because it doesn't need to be called out. There's a generational gap here in the support on Gaza. And I was calling that shit out. And I think it deserves to be called out. Look at the polls from people from 40 to 60, then look at the polls from 18 to 35. Okay. So it's that kind of thing, right? I don't know. It's just everybody's got a lot of emotion and nobody feels like they could fucking do anything. So let's not shit on the kids that actually went out there and risked it all and fucking did something.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
And they will know when they're old and gray and they look back and everyone else is pretending to have been on the right side. They will know where they were, and they will know what they can tell their kids about what they did.
But that's
in that
not going to feed you or your kids. I mean, ask some of these Vietnam War people how it all works.
Imagine like your grandfather or something is like showing you pictures from a protest he participated in back in the 70s, fucking Vietnam War shit. And you're like, that's cool, Grandpa, but can I have some goddamn money? Like, did that amass us any familial assets? Your participation in said demonstration? Because I'm not terribly impressed, man. I need some food right now. I'm hungry.
Yeah, Grandpa Charlie, that time you spent working for the Democratic Party could have really been better off in the private sector. Once you pass away, I'm going to be thinking about that. Just
exactly. Just who the thinks about this that way? Like, I feel like most people would be psyched.
Bro. That's Republicans. Yeah. That's how they think about the whole world. It's dollars and cents to them.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, so many people I know have immense pride in what their family members have done. My grandfather served his country doing this, or my grandmother protested in the civil rights movement. Whatever. People have so much pride about that. To assume that people would be concerned about how much money was made in the pursuit of a protest like from a decade or 3 ago, it's madness. I can't believe Saagar's going with this line of criticism, I guess, against protesters. Like, what the fuck?
Worked out.
Let's go back a few minutes.
Pretending to have been on the right side. They will know where they were, and they will know what they can tell their kids about what they did.
But that's
in that
not going to
moment.
feed you or your kids. I mean, ask some of these Vietnam War people how it all worked out for them in 20 years later. So 1988, We elected Reagan. You know, we had Iran-Contra and all that. Like, did it really make a difference? What happened to a lot of those folks? Not much. Petered out. Nixon got elected. Law and order, sky-high murder rates, mostly backfired. Let's be real.
It's such a cynical view of the world, though, to say, like, basically nothing matters. No protest matters. Your genuine concern about this. You're protesting the government. You're disrupting political speeches. Yeah. Nothing you do matters. So just like,
this is a specific critique I have of Saagar and Breaking Point's kind of. They will do the whole coverage of like, why are young people so sad? Why are young people so killing themselves all the time? Why aren't young people growing old? We have a mental health crisis with young people. They're fucking all killing themselves. And it's like, yeah, dude, you just said like, oh yeah, by the way, you're sacrificing your whole life for nothing. It will never get better, and you should just focus on the bottom line. To people with hearts and soul, Saagar, that makes life not worth living to them. They look at the situation, they like, we're fucked. It's a dead end. You just told me I wasted my life for doing the only thing that's ever this is the most fundamental thing. Do you support the death of children, the mass destruction that you have to watch with your own eyes and know that you're ultimately responsible for, right? Deep down the line, your fucking tax dollars, your government, your fucking privilege, all predicated on the fact that your government's willing to do fucking depraved shit like this, right? That weighs on people. And when you're like, oh yeah, don't worry, bro. In 25 years, we're going to have an arch conservative fucking president again, and everybody's going to be broke, and it's going to be a new crackdown, and you're going to be fucking massively in debt, and we're all going to be sticking our middle fingers in your face and being like, haha, should have looked out for yourself. Gordon Gekko wins always. Like, that's the motto. Like, literally, Saagar reminds me of one of the dudes who in the 1980s would have gone and watched Wall Street and actually thought that Gordon Gekko was the hero. All the satire would have been lost. You would have been like, yeah, that guy was out for himself. How could you blame the guy? You're supposed to try and get as much money as you can. You're supposed to fucking sacrifice it all for money, right? Oh, why would you put yourself in harm's way? On top of that, then it's like, Saagar, go back to fucking corporate media then if you have no values. Like, I don't understand where your compass goes. How do you get pointed towards independent media just if you're going to spout this stupid shit?
Like, go out and get your bag. I think that's a really cynical and disturbing view of the world.
Not nothing matters, but a very little does matter.
Listen, here's the bottom line. We know what will happen if these protests don't proceed, if these kids don't risk the things that they're risking, that, again, I think they should be absolutely commended for. We know what will happen. Absolutely nothing. We don't know what will happen if they try. And we've seen at least that there has been some pressure placed on the administration, and I think that's important. And we see globally, this is another thing I have in my monologue, we see that the people in Gaza see them. These Palestinians in Gaza are being starved to death and threatened with bombing, and the entire male population in Rafah now basically threatened with execution and murder. They see these protests, and it means something to them. I mean, that alone is, I think, significant and important. And you see the way that you see the way Netanyahu is kind of freaking out about the fact that there's international pressure, and these students are part of that larger movement. So yeah, there are no guarantees. You're right. There was a backlash.
Krystal's timidly articulating like the only sense of like empathy and humanity that's ever present on this show, right? And I feel like she should be like fucking screaming at like I would be right now. I mean, like, not to whatever, right? She can do whatever she wants, but I don't think you can really put it even any more gently than she did, right? They are shit scared of an international effort of solidarity. This is what matters right now. This is having an impact, right? However marginal. And these are the only people that are making an impact. Okay. Do you see any other big protests that are getting covered? No, you see the college kids, and they're dominating the fucking airwaves, which means there's a discussion now, which means that it's not happening quietly in the background. It remains in the forefront, because one of the things that they try and do is they try and drag it out and drag it out and drag it out and drag it out. And then it's not sexy enough for the 24-hour news cycle. Then it's not, concurrent enough. And then in the background, they can go ahead and slaughter tens of thousands of more people and occupy even more territory, right? Then the Rafah invasion goes on in the background while we're too busy talking about our own national election. That's what they were hoping to do. So at the 6-month mark, people said, fuck that. We are still opposed to this. And they reinvigorated the national discourse around what was happening in Palestine. And as a result of that, yeah, it means a lot. You can see images of people from the United States that are on the forefront of their protests on banners in Yemen, where people are holding them up and saying, yes, solidarity with all of you guys all around the world. That's something that we haven't seen before. That's something that wasn't possible in the 60s. So while I was on my Debbie Downer shit earlier, let's talk about the upswing. Let's talk about what we have now that they didn't have then. And that's an international connection, right? That what we feel in America is shared by what the people feel in Yemen. It's shared by the people of Ireland. It's shared by the people of South Africa. It's shared all around the fucking world because we can see with our own eyes and we can feel with our own hearts and we know what the fuck is wrong. Okay, so we have that ability to connect with one another. We have the ability to, stand in solidarity, to create, coordinated efforts, because of social media, because of cell phones, because of the internet, because of all of that. And I think that is the one thing that's helped this sustain itself. They thought they could trample it. And that's why they're responding so harshly. They thought that this would be a non-issue. Oh, it's Israel. Oh, it's not happening. Oh, there are no American troops, right? Because that's typically how it goes, right? No American troops on the ground. We don't see guys coming home in caskets. We don't give a fuck what happens, right? Obama won a peace prize, took us from 2 wars to 7. There were not any national protests like this, okay? We're coming across a new thing, and we haven't seen devastation like this in a time where we were all so connected, and if there's any upswing, if there's any hope at all, it's because of that. But yeah, right here, you can see it. It matters.
Yeah, I mean, even if the policy doesn't change whatsoever, I think this makes everything the students have done worth it. I mean, like, we hear so much fucking disgusting racism from Western media about how Palestinian people hate America, how Palestinian people hate the West and our freedom and all that stuff, and that they would, instantly kill any of us progressive allies of their cause because they're all just Sharia law, insane Muslims or whatever. But it couldn't be further from the truth. What the people in Rafah are saying is, thank you for expressing your First Amendment rights. Thank you for, using the freedom that you do have to stand up for the slaughter of our people. And again, even if Joe Biden is asleep at the wheel and doesn't change the policy and the slaughter continues, at least these poor fucking people, at least they know that we're not an entire nation of cowards, an entire nation of just fat fucking pieces of shit that are willing to sit there as this genocide goes on without a single ounce of resistance. At least they know that there's some decent among us that could stand up and, at least put their goddamn education on the line to make a statement. So I think that's super powerful. If I was one of the students protesting, those images in and of themselves would have made my sacrifices worth it. Not that I have sacrificed a goddamn thing. Obviously, I'm not at those colleges, campuses. But anyway, let's keep watching a bit more of this before we look at the comment section.
To the Vietnam War protesters. And you're right, that could happen again. But we know damn well what happens if these kids do nothing. And that is the status quo perseveres. Palestinians are probably, kicked out of their land altogether, continue to be murdered, continue to be slaughtered. We know that's what happens if they don't protest. They think there's a chance they could change something, and I applaud them for doing it.
They may be right. I think they're wrong. I think it's a misreading of history and of power and of how that all works. Now, again, I would take it back. I don't want to scold people. I would only give you some advice that when you're very young,
be cold and heartless. That's your fucking advice. Be self-centered as shit.
Of the day is, I'm trying to think back from 2012 or whatever. Whenever I was in college, DACA, that was a big one. All right, people march for DACA. All of this was all over.
Are you fucking seriously trying to compare what's happening in Gaza and as the looming Rafah invasion as the DACA protests that you witnessed in college in 2012? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah. Also, you can just imagine a college-age Saagar turning his nose up at some kids for protesting on the campus. Like there's something wrong with that. Again, even if it didn't lead to a goddamn thing, what the fuck is the matter with expressing your right to protest? It's one of the most American things you could possibly do, regardless of what you're protesting for. Even if you're some fucking, pro-life freak that wants to go walk around the streets chanting about how abortion should be illegal, it's still your goddamn right. I would still not, sit there and say, why would you express yourself? Like, no, it's your fucking freedom. We all have the right to do it. I can't imagine wagging my finger at kids on a college campus for doing something other than just, hanging out with their friends or going to class, actually engaging in the political system, actually trying to make their voices heard.
Well, what Saagar would have been doing was, well, actually, you guys know immigration is destroying this country. And frankly, we just can't have people crossing the border just to have children.
ended up working out? Nothing. Like, I'm just asking people to have a little bit of historical literacy and to be mindful that actions are going to have consequences. Now, you're an adult. You do whatever you want to do. And I support your right to do that. And I've spoken here openly. I support people's right to protest and all that. I would just caution folks to not get caught up into thinking, this ain't 1966 in Selma, Alabama and all that. And there's too often, lack of thinking about these consequences. Let's think back to BLM. I mean,
this is humiliating for Saagar.
This ain't Selma, Alabama.
Oh my God.
And it's funny because if he were alive during that point of time, he probably also would have said the exact same shit.
Oh,
let's be honest.
Dude, he's a bootlicker through and through. This dude loves the cop.
It was going to be a revolution. What's the actual lasting consequence? You almost got Donald Trump reelected. You have a sky-high murder rate. Nothing changed in terms of police action. So I hope you felt better.
Yeah, the sky-high murder rate is our fault. It's not anything to do with the gun-loving fucking country, the cops that are out of fucking control and won't protect anybody. Fucking, I lose patience with this guy after like 5 fucking minutes. I swear to God.
Yeah, dude. Luckily, the comment section was not having it. I think we've heard enough. You guys get the point. Let's take a look at some of the comments because, like I said, a lot of people, were not happy with what Saagar said, which is usually not the case. Usually the comment section shows up for Saagar. Usually, if anything, they're criticizing Krystal. But this time we got a lot of really smart and intelligent comments that made me pretty happy. This guy says, my grandpa spent 2 years in jail for refusing to go to the Dutch Indies to slaughter natives there in order to maintain our colony. Outside of our close family, I don't think anyone knows, but my granddad knows and the people that are close to him know, and that's good enough. I'm quite proud of him for it, and I hope I'd have the courage to do the same if our government ever drafts its people again to go fight in a faraway country again. I get where Saagar is coming from, but I think Krystal is right. There's value in knowing you did the right thing and did everything you could to make the difference. Free Palestine. Damn, that almost made me cry reading it because, I don't even know this guy's grandfather, but yeah, if someone I knew, let alone a family member, had done something that brave and stood up to our government, and imperialism, I would be damn proud too. I don't give a shit if he's the poorest man living on the fucking street. I'd be like, you have something to be proud of. You did something right. You're a good person. Imagine caring more about like your bottom line or whatever.
Yeah. Oh God, that's, exactly right. Like, and it's so funny too, because it's like, the conservative movement is all about like religion somehow, right? And I'm not a religious person. I never have been. But the one thing I have gleaned from it is that it's supposed to lead you to not behave like that. It's supposed to make you believe like this guy's grandpa. That's how you're supposed to behave if you're like a true believer of, whatever follower of like fucking Christianity, right? Like, you think Jesus would be going out there and slaughtering innocent people just because his government told him so? I don't fucking think so, pal. That was what the Romans did when they came and killed his ass. Okay? Yep. I don't know enough. I don't know a lot about religion, but I remember that part, right? So to see a guy like Saagar be like, oh, conservative, home values, religion, all this shit, like we're losing that in our society. And then be like, see, it is just a thin veil of like what they really believe in, which is the bottom line. It's red and black to them. You know what I mean? Are you up or are you down? It's crazy how money obsessed people are. And you have to think Saagar is doing so well for himself, right? He's doing so well. And that's still where his head's at. That's still where his head's at. He's still operating all the way up here and like 0% down here. Maybe he loves his dog or something and he's got like 5% down here. But we need to bring it back down to like at least a 60-40 split, bro. Like, you make yourself look like a bad person, even though I've had people assure me that he's a good guy. So I want to believe that. I want to believe you have a soul in there somewhere, bro. Fucking find it, please.
Yeah, for real. Here's another one. Saagar equating a college degree with the ability to buy a house is laughing emoji. I'm 60 and many of my friends and families are like, F these students. I'm the only one who's with them. F us geezers, seriously. There's a boomer after your own heart, Zach.
Bro, it's the reality, right? It's like, dude, if you look at old people, they fucking hate college student protesters now. They've been conditioned to, and they forgot all about what it was like to be a young person. They forgot all about what it was like to actually have fucking, compassion in your heart and not to have been beaten down so badly that you only care about yourself. These people are still wide-eyed. They still believe in change. They still believe in possibility. They still want what's better for the world. And you want to admonish them from the top of your shit mountain? I just can't fucking take that shit.
Yep. And it's specifically crazy to me because Saagar seemingly has these like America First principles where he doesn't actually believe that America should be funding wars in Israel or Ukraine. Like when it actually comes to the policy substance, he agrees with the students seemingly, right? Like I don't know if he straight up thinks America should completely divest from Israel, but he's definitely on record saying that we should not be involved to the extent that we are as far as the funding of this conflict goes and the exacerbation of the tensions between Middle Eastern regions. So again, ostensibly he agrees with the students. He doesn't support this war, yet he still finds a way to pearl clutch and finger wag at them, which is just insane to me. It's like, again, if you don't even agree with these protesting tactics based on a cause that you sort of agree with, then like, what the fuck are they supposed to do? Literally, what the fuck are they supposed to do? I don't understand. Luckily, like I said, people in the comments did not agree with Saagar either. This was pretty funny. They said, I grew up in an Italian household, and believe me, that was not a heated argument. About as heated as it usually gets on Breaking Points, but that is funny. This one says, Saagar is just a slave to his capitalist overlords. Damn.
Literally. I mean, that's the Republican ideology, right? That is and that's how, to go back to the other point, there's no distinguishing the populist right from the capitalist fucking establishment, right? When the rubber hits the road, they all bow to the powerful. They all kiss the fucking boot. It's all about bread for them. It's all about money, and they will sell they already have sold their fucking souls for it. They've already just decided, oh, the world is a shit show. Oh, I don't believe in this world. Oh, I don't believe in change. I'm only out for me. It is a selfish ideology, and therefore it is inherently in opposition to a populist ideology. The only true populist movement is a socialist populist movement that prioritizes the workers, that prioritizes the working class, and that prioritizes the people like us. Okay. And it doesn't make an enemy out of doctors and dentists. We need them to. Makes an enemy out of people like Jeff Bezos and the people that run the Columbia Endowment.
Yep. Absolutely. Just a couple more comments. This one says, I'm disappointed in you, Mr. Saagar. Any person who discourages the protest isn't genuine. I would have unsubscribed right now, but I won't because of Krystal, which again is usually like the exact opposite of what people say in the comments. Usually it's I would unsubscribe if it weren't for Saagar, but you know, whatever. Luckily,
the tides are turning, bro. The tides are turning. Their audience is under 40, and that's the best part. Their audience is young, and those people are still up for grabs. And we lost the young people for a while. We lost the young people on the left. I was bemoaning that shit for a while on our pod. We were losing it to the the red pillars. We were losing it to the oh, bro, you should just be entitled to pussy just for being a man, bro. These women, they should be your property. And that's where we went wrong as a society, right? That was really kicking our ass. The make your bed in the morning shit. Now it's hey guys, you want to be on the side of them? That was all distraction so that you would support an ethnic cleansing. And thank God a lot of people were oh, sorry guys, I was just really trying to crush some pussy, but it's not like that. I do not support genocide. And so they've kind of come back to our side, and that's why we can now that's when Gavin and I have to go to work. That's when we have to go to work on you guys. I'm just saying, I'm welcoming you all now. Thanks for joining the party. Anybody who stands against this, within reason is welcome here, right? Obviously, there are the Jackson Hinkles and the Haas Infrareds that were hilariously booted from the pro-Palestinian movement when they tried to show up on a campus. I believe it was UCLA. I believe after Hassan Piker went to the UCLA event, I believe they also tried to go there. It could have been NYU. It was a public school, though. Anyway, the pro-Palestinian people were like, "Fuck you, we know who you are. You guys are fucking antagonists," and you kick them away. That's smart. Because you don't want to see some deranged grifter. But anyway, long story short, based Krystal, L Saagar, biggest L I've seen for Saagar probably since George Floyd, when I was about ready to just self-harm by the end of every segment that I tuned into from Saagar.
Yeah, dude, totally. That was rough. Last one I'll read out, I think is, super accurate. Someone tells Saagar that the protests against South African apartheid in the 80s had worked and that they had a prominent impact on accelerating the end of the apartheid regime in the 90s. Again, 100% true. And even before the events of October 7th and the absolute siege on Gaza, the pro-Palestinian movement has long modeled itself off of the anti-apartheid protests and demonstrations from the 1980s, which, as this commenter points out, were successful and are often held up as how to correctly protest. I feel like alongside MLK and Gandhi, Nelson Mandela is like on the freaking Mount Rushmore of how to properly protest. That's what we're taught in schools, right? And that's exactly what these people are doing. That's exactly what these college kids are doing, trying to protest their universities' direct economic involvement with a genocide facilitating country. But it's still not good enough. It's still improper. It's still worth scolding if you're Saagar Enjeti, apparently.